welcome to the neighborhood. I heard that you were local and decided to stop by.
That's true. I've been here for a couple of days now, so you can call me a local, I guess. I've had some wonderful meals, so
Food's good.
it's been good. It's been
Okay.
great. I was telling Lauren a minute ago that I just got to visit one of our partners. They've got a big call center here, and it was a great experience yesterday of witnessing real life here, what they do, how they do it, and they do an incredible job. So, and I'm here. We have a big team. Google has a big team here based in Gurgaon as well, and I have the travel team here. Then we spent not enough time with them, as they've told me. And I thought I'd been here last year, and they let me know that the last time I was here was 2 years ago. So hopefully I'll be here sooner next time. But it has been a great experience because they're just wonderful, wonderful people that really help support a lot of our partners that we work with
Well,
globally.
thanks for paying us a visit.
So it worked
Glad to
out
have you
great.
here.
Yeah.
So, what would you say in the past year is the biggest travel product to come out of Google? And it doesn't have to be specific to travel, but some technology, some product, some business model that has influenced travel.
That's a tough question because if you said what product have we developed most recently that I'm most excited about is this Trips app. And hopefully most of you are familiar with the Google Trips app. It's definitely the most recent product. And why it's so exciting is it really helps you it's really for people when you're in destination, and it really helps organize all of your trips in one spot without you having to do anything. It's completely assistive. It pre-populates all of your itineraries, they're Gmail based, and pulls them together in one application, and then pre-populates stuff to do, restaurants, recreations, and based on the time, because of course it knows how long you're going to be there, it will recommend tours and activities based on the time you're there. So, and best thing of all, it's downloadable before you go, so you don't have to use up your lack of bandwidth that you may or may not have depending what
So
city
Google
or country you're at.
So Google Trips, which, like you said, was kind of within the past year, how is that going? How's the uptake on that product?
So yeah, that product was just launched not even a year ago, and it's actually been downloaded quite a few times. It's doing quite well. I think we've got a long way to go because I think the biggest question I get is this is great, and I love the idea that it's gathering all my itineraries in one place. But at the end of the day, I'd love to be able to book something from this. You're recommending the great trip to the Taj Mahal, but I can't book from there. And so I think the next step is how do we make this more bookable? How do we develop links that we can send directly to our partners in the room, and they're asking the same thing: is how do I be a part of this, and how can I help you grow this product? So I think there's a lot of way to go, but it's doing well. And in terms of adoption and downloads, we're very happy with how many people have downloaded the product. For all of you, it's available on iOS and Android, so take a look. And like I said, I encourage you. It's a great product.
Do you think that we'll see activities bookable on trips in the next year?
So I can surmise. I mean, I don't work on the product team side. Work on the sales advertising side, but I work very closely with our product team, and certainly, I've seen the roadmaps, and hopefully at some point we'll see that. I don't know if I would guarantee that it would be this year.
Okay, next loaded question. So what's the next biggest thing come out of Google related to travel?
So how many of you out there, and I don't know in India how prevalent this is today. It's hard to see, but how many of you out there have Google Home or Amazon Echoes or your Alexa? Anybody?
I don't see a lot of hands.
There's a few of you. I said it's probably not that big. But I think the next big things are these immersive experiences with search that are completely assistive, that are voice activated. And I know in my house, that was the biggest ask at the Christmas time was, we want our Google Home, when are we going to get it? And we did get one, and it's really changed how we interact at home. Everybody asks, okay, Google, for everything. And I think when we think about the future of travel and this immersive experience that becomes very assistive, those type of technologies are really going to change the game.
So how does voice, how does that work in travel? Because And how does that change the way Google is thinking about travel? Because when you think about voice, you think about, well, all this content that's being thrown at you. How are you capturing that? So can you relate that to travel planning and booking?
Well, I think it's two separate things. So how is voice changing the way? Well, already we're seeing on an Android device in the US, over 25% of all queries are now voice activated. So somebody speaking, okay, Google, and asking a question. So that adoption just keeps continuing to grow. So I think, and you think about if you have young kids that are, using phones and things like that, they use voice for everything. They don't type at all. So you think about the future where there's going, it's going voice activated. Now, what does that mean for travel in the future of where these products go? I just think that there's an opportunity to think about how that will change the way people think about travel, that how they purchase travel, that how they research travel. And they're going to have to be prepared for that, because I think there'll be a lot more of just this questioning all of the time. We call this micro moments on the smartphone, but it's really mini micro moments when you think about this, when you've got this 24/7. We used to think the smartphone was 24/7, but now when you walk in your house and all you have to say is, okay, Google, let's think about where to go, or
or in your car.
Or in your car. Scary thing, I was with a CEO of a car company the other day, and he said that in the US, by 2020, all new cars will come with connectivity built in. So you're going to be connected no matter where you go. So you're going to be becoming really, really used to just asking questions at all times. Add that to machine learning and how these get better and better at knowing when you ask all these questions, it actually learns and learns what you want. It gets better and better and better. And so you think about in travel, how is this going to help travel? The personalization of travel that this will bring will really change the game, and being able to really offer up more relevant opportunities or relevant suggestions for you based on what it knows and what it's learned through machine learning, it's going to be very, very
Absolutely.
expansive.
So let's get into that a bit. So you said when we chatted last week, you said we're not mobile first, we're machine learning first. So how does that change the priorities at Google?
Well, I think, in terms of where we're going, we've totally bought in on this ability that, this machine, because of the mass amounts of data that it can utilize, it can solve problems so much more quicker than we could in the past. And so if you think about machine learning, that's basically what it is you're not having to tell the computer what to do. You're giving it an objective and then feeding with data, and it's getting smarter and smarter over time. And if you think about that opportunity for the future and what that can do for not just travel, for anything that we're doing at Google, I mean, we're in the communication business, the connector business. We're trying to always give you better answers to the questions that you're asking. And this is only going to help us do a much better job of answering those questions that you're asking. Like I said, in travel, home to my heart, it becomes really great if we can get much better of knowing exactly what you want before you ask for it. People are going to be much more prone to coming back.
Right. So how much of that is learned by the user teaching it and versus the content that's already being recorded because of a past itinerary, because of my calendar, because of other behaviors? So in other words, how much am I inputting as the user, and how much is just being learned by other activities, on the web and within the Google?
I think it's a good mix of both. So those are those learnings, those inputs, those questions that you're constantly asking help that input and help the machine learn. Looking at the past things that you've done certainly help you learn. Past itineraries, past places you've gone, stopped, called, talked with, friends that you've dealt with, that all actually will take play a big part of how this gets better and better.
So how far along would you say we are in AI development?
Oh, I don't think we're far at all. This is like
the early
stages. But I think, to this crowd, and I tell people, I said, I think a lot of people, and we kind of talked about this, they hear artificial intelligence and they get kind of, oh, what does that mean? What do I do? And like I said, we really take that to the next step. It's really about machine learning, artificial intelligence, and learning and programming to make things better and faster. and it's really available to anybody to use with cloud-based services. And so, I encourage everyone to think about it from that perspective: is how can you answer a hard question that you have much easier through this new process?
Chris?
Oh, sorry. Hi, Rob. This is Jaspinder. And the question that I have right now is, like, Google is already using itineraries for different people to create a personalized content for them. But are there any plans to aggregate the data across the world for every single user and push something out that is interesting in that regard?
Based on the itinerary?
Say that again?
So are you planning, is Google planning anything in terms of aggregating all the itineraries across all the people in the world that are using it and pushing out something that is interesting out of that?
I mean, regardless where it's booked?
Yep.
So are you saying, I guess I don't quite understand the question. Are we planning on using all the information that we have about somebody?
Like if someone books on Delta and then they book the Marriott, like, are you planning on gathering all that information?
So you, in terms of that, you already have the information.
We
a
have
lot of people in their own Gmail itineraries, right? And you use that for a very personalized recommendation system for them.
So absolutely, if we have that information, and that's how the recommendation engine will get better and better. Certainly, if that's kind of the content we already know, we know your flight information, your hotel number station, when you're going, where you've stayed. If you've been there in the past, we'll know what you did in the past, so we can actually provide a better recommendation this next trip based on what we learned from the first trip. Yes, if that answers. I'm not quite sure.
Lorraine, we have a question back here as well.
I want to ask about Google Hotel Finder. So with Google Hotel Finder becoming more and more prominent in the search results, the question keeps coming up if you're not cannibalizing your own search revenue, basically coming from those key players, which is not a small chunk of your revenue. So what do you say to that? Is it profitable enough to actually drive the Hotel Finder product forward more and more?
It's definitely profitable enough. So, like I said earlier, I mean, we really look at ourselves still as a big search engine, and we really want to connect people to the information that they're looking for, at the same time help our partners gather more qualified leads. And what we've learned is the Hotel Finder product, or Hotel Ads product is what we call it now, actually does a much better job. It converts at a much higher rate than the normal AdWord ad does when it's shown on the page. Part of that is because of the inclusion of the rates and the availability and the date picker, etc. It really allows for a more robust experience, and that's really why we went down that line of creating this product anyway. It was because we knew that the original 10 blue links just was not cutting it as a search result anymore, that people wanted more robust information. And so that's really what Hotel Ads, and the same with our flight search product, does as well, is provide more robust search information for flights when you're looking for flights. So we don't see a lot of cannibalization, and we do see that again, the Hotel Ads product will convert much better for our partners and a much better experience for our travelers, the consumers that are coming and using the product.
So I want to stick on that. So it went from search to meta search to Hotel Ads, and this book on Google. So you've done that kind of reaching out toward the commission-based program. Is that a significant enough revenue stream, commission?
So the commission-based program is fairly new as a part of our Hotel Ads product. So the Hotel Ads product is a CPC-based product. It's a separate auction than the AdWords product that you're talking about. But at the same time, I'm sure there's many hoteliers in this room. A lot of them came to us and said, well, we're very used to these commission-based models with other partners that we work with. Why can't you create a commission-based model that we're used to and allow us to participate in the Hotel Ads product? So that's why we did create this commission-based product that just basically converts. It's a normal commission, which you're willing to pay, but we convert that into a CPC and then put it into the auction. Probably too much information for everyone here. But at the end of the day, so it competes in that Hotel Ads auction.
But
The question,
right?
or the answer to the question is it's very small right now. It's
Okay.
a very minor percentage of
Okay.
our partners that are working on that.
I'm asking because everyone knows TripAdvisor and some of the challenges that they're facing moving from the PPC to the PPA model. I was
Yep.
just curious. But what about when you do think ahead at what is the future of search with mobile and bots and messaging? Do you think down the line we do need to kind of hedge our bets and look at some other technologies and other businesses and?
Well, so I do think, yes, the bots, and we have Allo that came out, and it's very similar to Facebook's got some, everyone is dealing with that, and I don't think that's going to replace what we're doing in search and stuff today. I think search is just going to continue to evolve, and like I talked about earlier, I said the voice-activated search, I think that is something to be considered and that we should all be, I think, but if we go back, I said, from a mobile technology perspective, we still got miles to go there, in terms of really owning the mobile space and having really, really great experiences on the mobile device. Over 70% of people that connect to the internet globally this year, they say over 70% will connect via smartphone device. So if you think about that and you think about how many poor experiences are still out there, especially in the travel space, I still think that there's a lot of opportunity there before we move on to these completely immersive experiences that are take away from a lot of
Lorraine,
other
we
things.
have another audience question.
Okay.
Hello, Rob. My name is Sunny. I work for American Express. Part of my job is to do travel consulting for our global clients. I'm here at the back.
I can't see you, but I know you're back there somewhere.
Really good.
Yeah, so my question is related to future travel scenario, and what I'm trying to understand is the role Google can play in that future travel scenario of tech landscape. And what I mean by that is we hear about a lot of innovation that's happening in the industry when it comes to different areas of the travel, vis-a-vis pre-trip, on the road, post-trip. So there's a lot of purpose-induced innovation where players are trying to solve a very specific pain point for the travelers. But when you bring all of it together, you're actually looking at a possibility of a bigger player like Google or maybe others partnering and collaborating to create that central platform, which is modular in nature, and people can just plug and play for different modules and have their pain points resolved. So what's your take on that central modular tech platform, and what sort of role do you think Google can play in that?
So are you asking whether or not we would develop our product and offer it up in a kind of a white label scenario for partners?
Yeah, I think what I'm trying to understand is, so for example, Google Trips is a product which can help us create itineraries and also get personalized recommendations once someone is on the road. But then when you look at the entire trip, pre, on the road, and post, all the way from booking to expense management, is there going to be an aggregator who's going to bring all these technologies and innovations together in a central form so that all like large companies and global organizations can plug onto that central platform and get what they need out of it?
Yeah, no, I understand what you mean. Yeah, and I totally agree with you that there's nobody really doing that today. I know that from our perspective, that's not on the roadmap of aggregating that all together in one place and offering it up. Certainly something that, we should be talking about and thinking about it, and I think that there's a great opportunity to change that landscape for the better. Right now, a lot of the parts that we're dealing are still pretty disparate, but they do deal with the dreaming phase, the early phase with our destination on Google, and then moving down to more research booking with the hotel and flights, and then the in destination and after with the Trips app. We haven't really moved.
Lorraine and Rob, so, I love our Indian audience. We have interactivity. Just a question over to your left here.
Hi, Rob. So the question I have is, there's too much information, rather there's fatigue of information is what I believe. And looking at the millennials, I think we are quite liberal in sharing everything out there. So my concern is, at some point, do you see that people are robbed out of the privacy and it could lead to a situation where there's a reverse behavior change where people will stop sharing that much because there's a fear of, okay, Google knows too much about me now just because I search for in university, I see an ad popping up in the next email box of mine?
So if you're asking me, I don't think so. I mean, you began to answer that question yourself when you said millennials share everything. I just don't see them ever stopping that. And I look at folks that are even younger than millennials, my kids, that share everything. I don't see they're growing up with that. So I don't think that one day, I mean, if something horrible happened, yes. But if all of the surveys and groups that we talk with all the time, the first thing they say is we're absolutely willing to share information if it's going to help us get a better experience. So I don't see that going away at all. And I think it's only going to get better and better as we get better with, like I said, machine learning and getting better at making recommendations based on what we know about you. Now, that said, like I said, if something horrible happened, maybe that changes, but I just don't think so.
Do you think it's generational?
Well, I think it's generational in terms of the sharing. We certainly know that there's certain groups that share a lot more than others, that share a lot more than I do.
Privacy concerns.
But I think that, and I think that is a bit generational, but when you go back to when you ask any generation, if you were to receive this type of experience, but you would require you to share this, this, and this, predominantly we always get, yes, absolutely, we would share that information if we were going to guarantee a experience that looked like this.
Okay. So we had a question before about your modules, and it just was making me think, from the discovery to the bots, to Meta, to commissions, and whatever. I mean, so can Google really be all things to all people? Number one. And number two, just how are you prioritizing, Rob?
So, I mean, we can't be all things to all people, as much as a lot of people think we already are. But I think we can certainly try to develop and create a better experience for people when they're thinking about travel. And I think that's, if you think about really where the priority is, it's where are these pain points that you all feel every day when you plan travel, and how can they be improved through technology and technology applications. And so we'll continue to drive that. So we take the priorities. I mean, our priorities for 2017 really are a bit different. I mean, you're going to see, more and more development coming out of the flight product, which is getting better and better and better. And is, now many countries in the Asia Pacific region now have flight search, and we'll continue to grow there. You'll see much better hotel price ad or hotel ad product. And I think the Trips apps will become much more robust. And I don't know if I'd say it's in that order, but there's a lot of our development that's happening on those three now, just to keep improving those products, because we know people like the products, but they do have, they're not perfect. And so we can continue to improve on those and then hopefully ease that that discomfort that a lot of people have, that they didn't find the best deal or that it takes too long to research.
And I heard an interesting word come out of your mouth, products, because we don't always think of them as products, and you don't advertise them as products, right? I don't see the Super Bowl ad for hotel ads or for air search.
Someday. So yes, we don't necessarily advertise our products. You do see ads for Google, right? You see ads for Google Chrome or Google big products, but you don't really see for specific industries. We've tried to change that, and before I leave this company, which I've been over 10 plus, you will see a travel ad. I'm going to make sure of it. So, because I do think that once our products get great, that we should be advertising them. Part of our CMO's point, though, is that, what if we choose one industry? How do we choose one over another? And I get that, too.
Okay, looking forward to
one of
that
these
ad.
days. Yeah.
Yep, next Super Bowl, the big football game. So, final question. What is, and everyone loves to talk about Google and Google this, Google that. So what is the biggest, most interesting or craziest rumor that you've heard lately about Google?
What's the latest, craziest rumor? There's always something going crazy.
Anybody want to shout one out?
Does anybody have one that I don't know? It's buying TripAdvisor, becoming an OTA. You know, I don't know.
Are you buying TripAdvisor?
Not that I know of.
Not that we were spreading any rumors here.
No rumors. No, not that I know of. You know, I don't know, honestly. It's a hard one because there's always something coming down that we may or may not. The interesting thing is because we're got this whole Google X under Alphabet now. It's not so much Google Alphabet. There's so many interesting projects being developed all the time that I get emails from friends and what is this? What is that? And I never say that's not true because it very well could be somebody heard about something being created somewhere under the Google premise. So there likely could be an inkling of truth to anything you hear. You never know.
You never know. Ladies and gentlemen, Rob Torres.
Thank you.